Hello and welcome. My name is Stefan, and now it's lecture time. Today we're going to talk about geographic resources, and you can see my contact information on this slide. Okay, let's begin. GIS, Geographic Information System. One definition is that a GIS is a computer-based information system with functions for input, processing, storage, analysis, and presentation of geographical data. But why make it so difficult? You probably have been or will be wrestling with QGIS, Idrisi MapInfo, and ArcGIS by now and had enough of it. Don't tell anyone that I've said that. There is a lot of free GIS on the internet. Note the quotes. You have Google Maps, you have Google Earth and Google Earth Pro. The difference is that Google Earth is totally web-based and the Google Earth Pro is a small program that you download to your computer, which gives you certain other possibilities. You have Bing Maps. You have in Sweden Eniro. That's everyone said that they will be bankrupt by now, but still alive. You have hitta.se, find.se in Swedish. And you have, for instance, the Land Survey, of course, with their own map services on the web. And this is a very good site I can recommend. This is a list of online map services that you find on Wikipedia. Here you can find geographical data or map services that you can find for different countries, different regions throughout the world. Well, if we make the quotes around GIS a little bit more fuzzy, there is something more like a real GIS, as for instance this one, the OECD Regional Explorer, where you can explore data from the OECD countries in statistics table form, in the charts, and of course in thematic maps. And in Sweden, of course, we have the same thing from Statistics Sweden, where you can do the same thing, but on data from almost all the data that Statistics Sweden collects and break it down on municipality level or county level. And everything is free to use. If you're on Windows, you use the snipping tool. On Mac, you have the same functionality. Let's start up with hitta.se. Have a look at the map there. And now the map is loading. And there we are. This is part of Stockholm where I live, but let's have a look at the university area. Yeah, there we are. Coming up slowly. And if the campus had been open, it would be in this building probably. And as you see here, you can have a satellite photo and other options if you want to. But let's stick to the map. Okay, I want this map in a report, and I don't want to sit for hours and hours and hours with my GIS, downloading data, making maps, making a proper manner of the map. I simply would like to have an illustration for my report. Okay, go for the snipping tool, create a new one, and say that we want a small map of the campus area like this one. Yeah, probably it's okay. Okay, stick with that. Make a copy of that. There we are. And let's start, for instance, Word. And here's my small report. My report. Make it a little bit nicer here. Yeah, this is the heading 1. And my map. And paste it. There we are. You have the map in your report. And of course, you can edit this and add errors and write text in it, whatever you want. Very simple, took you a minute. Okay, we'll leave this for the time being. Don't want to save it now. Don't want to save it now. And leave the insert. And now we're back on track. Well, everything is free to use, as said, or are there copyright issues? Well, do check the actual site where you get the data from for this info. If in doubt, check with your supervisor, and remember that commercial use is one thing, student paper is a completely different thing. And do not hesitate to contact the data or map of service provider if in doubt. I can tell you, sometimes it's easy. For instance, the maps from Eniro, I contacted them and they said that's no problem whatsoever. However, they said that we don't own the maps, we buy them from the land survey. Okay, as we have a license of the data from the land survey, I think that's, well, should be okay. Well, Google Maps, for instance, it's a completely different matter. I've tried, in fact, to contact them via email in vain, of course, but I found on their website some information on how to use Google Maps, for instance, in a report like we just seen. The state in something I think is American lawyer language, and I quote, "The look and feel of the original product must not be altered." Okay, what does it mean? Yeah, I interpret that the meaning of this is that you can use, of course, a Google map in your report. You should, of course, make reference to it. This is a Google map. And you must not alter the manner. That is, if you want to the water red for some reason and try to paint it red, I think then you're violating the rules. As long as you can recognize that this is definitely a map from Google Maps and you reference it properly, I think it's okay. Leads us to how to handle references. Well, always check for information about this on the site where you download the data. Generally, for web references, use minimum the web address plus the time when you downloaded the data. For instance, this is Administrative Divisions of Finland from web address, gad.org, and the date. And do that every time you download anything, because it's so annoying that you download something and after 2 weeks you realize that, oh, this was really good, I'm going to use it in my report, and suddenly you forgot where did you download it from. Okay, but say you want to do something a little bit more advanced, then you need some kind of GIS software. And there's a variety of softwares to choose from. In Sweden, ArcGIS and MapInfo are the most widely used GIS softwares. There is one more. I'll come back to that in a moment. As a student at the university, we offer student licenses for ArcGIS and MapInfo. Notice that MapInfo is grayed out here because we haven't signed a deal yet. ArcGIS you can find on this address, and instructions to download and install you can see below. However, these programs runs on the Windows only. Do I have here a sigh from Mac users? Okay, you can always buy and install Windows on your Mac. Probably that's not why you chose Mac. Or you can use QGIS. That is a very good alternative to ArcGIS MapInfo. It reads both formats that ArcGIS creates, as well as MapInfo's. You can find a tutor on our website here, gis.humangeol.su.se/QGIS tutor. Okay, now we have the software needed. What we need to feed the software with something. Data. Yeah, where do we find free data on the web? I'll come back to that in a minute, but first a few words about maps and data types. You distinguish with different types of data. It could be categorized in two main types of data. That's vector data. A very common format is shape. That's files with the extension of .shp. But you also need a .shx, a .prg, and a .dbf. That's together, it forms a cloud that's called shapefile. Raster is a little bit simpler. It's called GeoTIFF, the most common format. That is files with the extension of TIFF, sometimes with a double F, and older ones with the extra file .tfw, TIFF world file, that contains the information of a coordinate system and projection. You can read more at this address down here on Gisela. And the difference between these data, yes, you already know perhaps, is that vector data, you can see to the left here, you can manage the manner of the map completely freely. That is, you could change the colors of the roads, the colors of the buildings, the water, and so on and so on. Equivalent to raster map, actually, it's a picture. Very difficult. You can, if you have a image processing program, change colors and things like that, but you can't actually distinguish between objects in this one. It's a raster. And another typical raster data is found in aerial images. Okay, back on track again. Where to find free data? Well, the GIS portal of the county administrations in Sweden contains a lot of different data. It varies how much data you can find because the different county administrations upload different data sets. You can find things like, well, where you can find rare species of flowers, things like that, but also planning stuff and things like in this. Well, the GIS portal of the county administrations in Sweden do have a lot of data. It varies a lot between different county administrations, what they upload. But it's a good way to start if you want to find, for instance, data about Gotland or data about Gothenburg, something like that. SCB, that's Statistics Sweden, they have a lot of different data. It's actually the statistics data found and needed when you, for instance, are interested in making thematic maps. The European Union equivalent of that can be found at Eurostat. Lots of data on different variables for different countries in the European Union. At the worldwide level, you have UNIP Geodata Portal, where you can find a lot of data concerning literacy, mortality, on a regional and country level, and so on. You can also make your own maps there, or make your own graphs and tables that you can download, and with that you can use it as statistics input when making thematic maps. This is a very interesting site, Global Administrative Areas. Actually, it contains the divisions of all the countries in the world. Of course, it varies quite a lot at the detail level, because the administrative areas for different countries are different sizes. But it's very, very good to find the geographical part when you need to make a thematic map. You need statistics, which can be found on the pages we've just seen, and you need the geographical part. That can be found on Global Administrative Areas. Very useful site, I must say, if you're in for thematic mapping. And we have European Environment Agency, a EU organization that actually contains quite a lot of land use data on a rather detailed level for the European Union countries. Lots of data to be found here. We have a Global Land Cover Facility, which is a site that is very easily navigated. You simply draw a box somewhere in the world, and you can get information of what kind of satellite imagery, sometimes processed, sometimes raw, that you can find there. Lots of Landsat data. And then we have a site called, I call it Cigar, but it contains actually something very interesting. It's a global digital elevation data. So if you're in for global digital elevation data, this is a place for you. And actually, you had a worldwide coverage of 90-meter ground resolution. At every 90 meter, you got a elevation figure. And within the continental USA, it's in fact 30-meter resolution. Very useful if you're in for 3D or just need digital elevation data. Another site that we found a couple of years ago is Libra. It's a site where you can find satellite imageries, mostly Landsat. But the thing about it is that apart from that, it's worldwide. You get a thumbnail to the right where you can actually see, for instance, if there's a lot of cloud coverage and things like that, because satellite imagery is rather bulky, takes quite a long time to download, and it's well, it feels rather sad to be downloading data, unpacking data, only to find that, oh, it was only clouds there. And here you get a thumbnail, you can see actually the area and whether it's clouded or not. Then we have different kinds of data that becomes more and more common, in fact. This is a digital atlas of Namibia. You note that the link goes to Cologne in Germany. There is a site in Windhoek in Namibia too, but they have not the exactly the speediest internet connections. So I'll give you this link instead. First, I thought that, is this for children? Well, it's just a lot of maps and things like that, the information on climate, physical geography, living resources, land history, people services, and infrastructure, as you see here. But actually, it also contains, apart from text and maps, that is actually pictures, which of course you can download and use in your report or something like that. It actually gives you access to the data that was used when creating these maps. So if you don't like the manners or you want different colors or things like that, you can always download the raw data and make your own maps in the GIS. And there's a lot of different sites out there. Africa map with a lot of information of Africa. It's a language, dialects, it's a lot of things. So if you're interested in Africa, do have a look at this Africa map. And in Sweden, we very often boast that we are so digital, and we were early adopters of digital geographic data on the web. But I found out that as we had field courses in New Zealand some years ago, that land information in New Zealand was far ahead of us. You can have a look at their site. They have lots of maps and aerial photos there. And remember the time when you entered a new city and you could grab a paper map with some advertising for the local pizzeria, restaurants, and things like that. Nowadays, this thing is digital and on the web. A typical example of this is Auckland's Council GIS Viewer, which serves as the same purpose as these old paper maps when you're entering a city. You can have a look. Okay, have you heard about OSM data? OpenStreetMap, maybe seems familiar. It's a free map service, worldwide coverage, but it has the disadvantage. It's rather difficult to use the OSM format data in many GISs. So I found this Geofabrik German site that actually downloads and compiles the OSM data and creates, on national level, creates shapefiles, which makes it so much easier to use the OSM data in your own GIS. I can go on forever, but I just mention natural Earth, where you can find a lot of data. And if we come back to Sweden again, of course, Open Stockholm portal is interesting. You have 3D buildings, you have orthophotos and things like that. So if you're interested in Stockholm, do check out the Open Stockholm portal. I can go on forever, but this is something called Skogsdataportalen, forestry data portal, where you can find a lot of information on different things, but especially, of course, forestry. But notice the interface. Okay, this is geodata.se. This is a site whose aim is to collect all the geographic data in Sweden and present it in one interface to the user of the data. And you can here see sometimes icons for downloadable data. That could be web map services data. Come back to that. It could be that you had to order the data, but the thing is that here you know who's responsible of the data, and if you need to contact them, how to contact them. Okay, then we have geodata from the land survey and others. There are different ways of getting access to this one. One way is the distribution service GET geographic extraction tool. It's located at SLU. And you have the link there, and here you find your data in vector and raster formats, and you log in with your usual student credentials. And we also have a archive of that kind of data from 2012 at the Stockholm University library. Come back to that. And of course, remember the free GIS on the internet, Lantmäteriet, Land Survey of Sweden. We can have a look at that one, just because it can give you a hint of what kind of data you can download from the GET service. Okay, let's go for Stockholm and have a look. Oops, a little bit too zoomed in perhaps. Here we are, close enough to the university. And topographic web map this is, and you can have orthophoto, and you can have orthophotos with borders. See here, as properties. You can have historical orthophotos, say from 1960. Oops, no university. And things like that. This could give you a hint of what the data looks like when you're downloading it from the GET services. Okay, leave that and go on. And nowadays, there's a lot of free data from the Land Survey of Sweden. And you can always have a look here because this is completely free data. You don't have to be a student at the university, as with the GET services from the SLU. And some of the data that you can find and download from the GET service, you can find here too. Just a few words about something called Kartrummet, the map room. Well, we call it a virtual learning resource center for geographic literacy at Stockholm University. And our definition of geographic literacy is how to find, critical, evaluate, and use geographic information. Our aim is to make it easier to acquire geographic information and spread the knowledge and stimulate the use of geographic information. It's a joint venture between Stockholm University Library and the processing unit at the Department of Human Geography. You can have a look at it here, what you can find. We can have a look at that. Yeah, as you see here, we can go for Stockholm, just an example. And we can go for place where we are or should be at the university actually. This is the area. This is simply viewing the data, and here approximately we have in the center of the image the university area. It's a map from 902. Okay. Can have a look at what you can get more. Yeah, you can download the KMZ. That means this is a map that can be viewed in Google Earth. Have a look at that one. Hopefully, it will download and display. Yes, there it is. And as you see, this is correctly. We can take away the photos here and have a look. Here we are somewhere. There we are. This is approximately in the center of the university area. Okay, pretty nice. And of course, which is even nicer, that you can actually do the wrong thing here. So you can look at how it looks today. Here we are, university area. Okay. And of course, the nice thing with Google Earth is that you can get the 3D view of the map. Okay, enough is enough. We'll simply, okay, can mention too that you can download this as an image to use in your GIS. Okay, leave that. See if this works. Okay, we have a page on a site called Gisela. It's called Geodata at the Stockholm University. It's in Swedish, however, so you need a Google Translate or a good friend speaking Swedish to find to understand it. Here you have a lot of information of the data that we have on Stockholm University. Okay, a little bit more on geographic resources. Of course, you can find sites with useful data by simply using your favorite browser and search the web. A good tip, though, is to always try to find information on which scales the data can be useful. Sometimes found on the website, not always, though. Okay, then also do check the coordinate systems and corrections, maybe on a page related to where you get the data. And if found, do make a note of it, otherwise you may run into problems when defining scales combining with data from other sources. Final word, most GISs likes shape formats for vectors and TIFF or GTIFFs or raster data too. So check that you can obtain data in any of these formats. A search for Namibia GIS shape download will probably give you better hits as opposed to just searching for Namibia. Remember also that the data downloaded from the web most often is compressed in order to speed up downloads, usually with the extension zip. That means that one way or another, depending on what computer you're on, you have to uncompress it or unzip it. Sometimes you find files downloaded with the extension .tar, tar or tar.gzip. Usually satellite image, which means that you have to find a way to insert that, easily found on the web, depending on what kind of computer you're on. Okay, web map services, finally. This is actually a map that's created somewhere else on a computer, a server somewhere, and actually your GIS is ordering a map that's distributed to your GIS as an image. It contains information about projection and coordinate system, which means that you can use it together with your own data. Have a look at Open Stockholm. This is a QGIS application. You can, however, use WMS in any GIS almost, and even sometimes without a GIS. But we can have a look at this one in QGIS as I fancy free software. City map of Stockholm, there we are. We can have a look at the university area. Here we are. and it looks like this. You cannot change the manner in this case, just a simple dumb picture, but you can use it together with your own data. Okay, that's Open Stockholm. Can I have a look at something from Republic of Georgia? If I'm not mistaken, this is some auto photos. The actual map is generated in Tbilisi in Georgia, and there you have it. And as you can see, you have a coordinate system, so you can measure and combine it with your own data if you want to. Leave that. And finally, have a look at some topographic web map from the Land Survey of Sweden. You have to register in this address to get access to this one. But once you have done, you have a nice looking map of Sweden at your hand, which of course can be combined with any data of your own. Patience is the word. Yeah, there it is. Have a look at the same thing here. Same area. This is Stockholm. This is the campus area where we're not allowed to be at the time being. You see the manner of the map changes depending on your zoom level. Also, goodbye to you. Thank you for your attention and good luck in the future. This is my contact information if you need to contact me. Thank you. Bye.